Welcome back to Demon Slayer, episode 4. This I'm reviewing the last 5 episodes of season 1 of Demon Slayer anime. Basically, episodes 22 to 26. The of this was the functional recovery training arc. And over the course of these 5 episodes, these episodes cover chapters 45 to 52. Actually, more like up to 53, and they start chapter 54. First 4 pages and cover an extra. Yes, an extra. Now, what happens in these 5 episodes? Well, we pick up right where the episode left off with, if I can get to the right thing here, uh, Shira being confronted by all of the pillars, basically the higher ups, the Hinshima of the Demon Slayer. Mm-hmm. Every, pretty much every single one of them make an appearance here, and from the look of it, it looks like from her arc. Why this for? I honestly have no idea. I really don't. It's now the only two pillars who made a debut prior to this particular arc is the water and insect pillars. Those two are the only ones made a debut prior to this particular arc, and with the ending of episode 21, we got debut pretty much all the rest. All current. These are them. Flame history is basically a guy named Renku, who has up this guy. He only appears briefly, and he doesn't. Now, a lot of these guys don't really do very much in this arc, with the exception of two. They just stand there doing nothing. He's a very flamboyant guy. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the goddess of wine from Greek mythology in a way, basically, because he's very much of a playboy, and the fact that he's very nice compared to like the others. And here are the rest. You have Sound. He basically is a guy who basically is a guy. I don't think this is a guy with wives. Yeah, this is a guy with 3 wives. His name is Ten Suga. The love of his story, she's a smoking hot woman. She is. Mezura, when she made her debut, she basically, because she's the love pillar, she basically shows off her lovely chest. Though she's over there, basically she has her shirt open. Yeah, I'm like, lady, your shirt's open. It's probably her flamboyant desire. You get a little explore about her in the arc. The mist one. His name is Takiko. Stone. Hanjima. Serpent. Yeah. Wind. Even basically the serpent. There's one basically where kept beating up, well, Tojo. Now the whole trial thing, that's done in the first 2 episodes of this particular arc. The rest of the arc is simply put like the recovery and setup for the movie that comes in a few months. Now, the trial itself is simply this. Them basically debating what to do with him because they can't do anything without their master. Of course, they were informed by the water pill that he's coming, and later he has arrived. And one of them basically says to go up and basically try to stab the box that Nensho is in. And then, of course, well, the fact he's heavily disagree. They're all disagreeing with exactly what he's doing. Then, of course, Matt shows up. This is by far his first full appearance in the series. You can see him a bit of a distance early on in the series. Now, in the English dub, he's voiced by Matthew Mercer, which I've only heard in 1 episode so far. He does. I think he did appear in the previous arc for like 1 episode briefly. This is technically his first full appearance with the character. He, of course, is a guy with a big humongous scar covering half his freaking head. I mean, this kind of reminded me of the character William from Black Clover, who's got the same thing. The only difference is the guy is not actually blind. Excuse me. Yeah, he's not blind, but this guy is. And the two little girls that show up in the first arc of the series, yeah, they make a return. And here's kind of the weird thing about these two girls. They don't interact with Toshiro. And Toshiro does not have interaction at all. He's like, hey, I remember you. I saved you from that Badmouth guy from the first arc of the series. For the final selection. Yep, and he also meets up with the swordswoman from the first arc. Yeah, he kind of meets up with the previous arc, but this is the arc where he fully interacts with her. And it's revealed though that the reason why that Toshiro's able to go out and do whatever heck he wants with his sister, traveling with her, is because the master has sanctioned it. Now, half of them basically have agreed, other half disagree. One of them basically, I believe this is the one with the scars in his face. He, of course, not liking the matter, so he stabs the box, and then he basically tries to get Neja basically wound her 3 times. And then he basically cuts his own wrist, trying to get her to basically drink his blood. She doesn't. And then she gets out of the box. They see her. And she basically decides to not drink it and just basically turn her face away in disgust. And then it basically, of course, like, there. Now I've proven that you won't attack humans. And they both taken away back to the... Excuse me. The Butterfly Mansion to recovery. With Toshiro and Inosuke, who was still in his boar's head mask. And in case you're wondering, does it take up this mask the entire arc? The answer is not really. No, he never takes it off at all. He spends the whole arc with this mask on. I think it's just two who have there. First we have Aya. Yes. She's a swordswoman basically who keeps with the Gato, who lives there, and 3 adorable little girls. They are Semi, Naho, and Keo. Of course, I appreciate Toshio basically. He treats them sort of like little sisters, basically, because, well, he's basically, he acts like a big brother to them, and he's very thankful toward them. And basically, he needs to recover from all the injuries he suffered from the previous arc, which makes it the second time this series, basically, they've had a recovery arc in the series because he got heavily injured. Though I don't think it was as bad as it was during the Drumhouse arc. Yeah, I don't think it was as bad as that. Oh yeah, basically before he tells he has made an impression by killing one of the upper moon, by killing one of the 12 moons. He technically has, though, was one of the lower ones, and they make appearance in this particular arc. I'll get to them in a minute. I'll get to them soon. Yep, and so he begins his training. We give a montage basically what he's supposed to do, like having a stretching session with the 3 little girls, and then playing a game of grab a teacup before the female swordswoman does, and put it on her head, or they splash on her. Yeah, this is basically, and also the 3rd one, play tag, so you keep up with her. Okay, so they kind of came up with the idea, basically using total breathing concentration, basically constantly, and well, and using it by testing with gourds, and kind of go back to basics. And Shadow, the insect pillar, she's very impressed by this. At one point, he's actually meditating on the roof of her house, and she somehow gets up there really quickly. And she gets kind of close to him, almost to the point where she could be kissing him. But nope. And basically, they have a pretty good conversation here. They talk a little about her sister, the fact she was killed by a demon. Yeah, she kind of reveals this when Toshiro basically points out, though he has a, because he's a good sense of smell, that he points out that she basically has a bit of anger with her to cover up that the smile is just a cover for her anger, which she's not upset by the fact that he reveals that to her, the fact he knows about it. She's not upset by it. She's perfectly fine with it. And is it just me, or is that her apprentice basically look almost exactly like her, even the same eyes, which is kind of weird. Yeah. Excuse me. And of course, well, She continues the concentration, eventually breaks one of the gourds, and goes through a bunch of the training, able to actually keep up with her. And the other two, after a while, they couldn't exactly go through with the whole thing because they just gave up, and eventually they decided to chip in because he's doing this whole special concentration thing. And eventually he does succeed in basically having full recovery, along with the other two, and they set up an mission to deal with the Infinite Train. But before they go, Seba gives him a full examination, clears him, also basically checks his jaw, and he mentions about the dance technique that his father did, and asks her if she's heard of it. She actually has never heard of it before, and asks, "Why don't you ask the Fire Pillar about that?" But he's away on the mission, which of course they're gonna deal with him basically with reports in the very next mission. And before I continue with that, let's talk about what happened with the moons. Yeah, the main villain of the series decided to summon all of the remaining lower moons. 5 of the 6. We can choose to basically upper moons, like lower moons 1 through 4, and 6. I'm thinking 6. When did he take time to replace the other guy who got killed off in the second to last one for this one? Apparently he did. They all got summoned for some reason, and of course, then the main villain shows up, dressed up as a geisha girl, and a former woman. Apparently he's a shapeshifter. Excuse me. As for why in the world he decided to do this, as for why he took this form, no idea why. As to why he brought these people here, because he's upset by the fact that he basically is bored with the lower moons, and the fact he has to keep constantly replacing them. He hates it. So he pretty much massacres almost all of them but Lower Moon 1. Excuse me. Yeah. He also apparently has the ability to read minds. I'm like, when the heck do you have that ability? Because it's basically slowing his abilities. One guy basically demands his blood. He says no, kills him, and last one basically, here it says something that he likes, so allows this person to live, and basically becomes a very powerful demon. Yep. Oh yeah, and also he says, I'm dismantling the lower moons, because they're pretty much useless to me. Yep, that's the whole point of this. Yeah, it's something though we introduced the lower moons, like the rest of them, because we've only seen 2 so far, basically 6 and 5. They do mention what happened in the previous arc, the fact that Lower Moon 5 got killed in the previous arc. And excuse me, also it's mentioned though by the Master that Toshiro encountered him back in the 3rd arc of the series. And they're all shocked by this, because apparently no one has ever encountered before. I'm like, okay, the Demon Hunter Corps has been around for since the feudal era of Japan, about 500 years. And they've never encountered the creator of the demons? Not even these people, the current ones, nobody's ever counted them, and yet a rookie had counted them in his 2nd mission. I wonder, like, what the heck does he look like? Yeah, in case you wonder what his no appearance is, his no appearance is simply put a guy in basically, well, Western garb, basically kind of wears like a. He kind of looks like something you see in the UK in the early 20th century. That's how he normally dresses. The geisha girl thing probably just did it on a whim. And the whole point of show up there, that sets up the very next arc of the series. And they actually explore the one, the assistant who actually lived. I mean, yeah, they get a little bit of a backstory. Yeah, they get pretty much. That was not her. It was they get a little bit of a backstory in the Pentiment episode 25. Yes, a little bit of a backstory. That's when the whole checkup thing happens. And then, of course, then they're sent off on their mission with the Infinity Train, because apparently people are getting killed on the train, and it's over 40 people, so they have this basically stop right away, and the fire posts are already there, and basically Toshiro, Tanjiro, Zenzo, and Isuro basically all go out to, well, deal with this. And apparently, the insect pillar recommended him basically for this mission. Just test him out. Okay, perfectly fine. And they go to the train station. Apparently, Zenzo has basically seen Chain before, but the other two have never seen Chain before. I get maybe in this way because he's basically a guy who lives in mountains. So he may not know what a train is, but Totoro, the main character of the series, does not know what a train is, never seen it before. I would think he would because he's seen freaking power lines. So how the heck he's never seen a train before? I have no idea. Also, they have to hide their source because it's explained at the start of the series that the Demon Corps, their existence is not officially recognized by the Japanese government. Why the heck this is, I have no idea. I would think they would because they actually was a problem. Yes. A series of murders basically happened across the country, and there's these massacres, and apparently the cops know nothing about this at all. I would think that the Japanese government would recognize this group of people, especially with all the good work they do, and the fact that they put their lives on the line to save people's lives. But apparently the Japanese government at this point in time just doesn't care. For some reason, I don't know why. Yep. Anything else to say? Well, before Toshiro and his friends basically go off to leave, he does say goodbye to Ao, the one he met during the final season, and the other woman. Kinito, yeah. Yeah. Says by Ao first, then Kino. And it's very heavily implied that these two might be attracted to each other. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird, though, that basically people from the Insect Pillar group, like, it's very heavily implied that possibly that several of the women in the series may have a thing for Tojiro. It's distinctly possible, but they don't say anything about it. It'd be interesting if you got myself a love interest, but I don't know. The furthest I've gotten to the series basically is with chapter 101. That's the furthest I've gotten with the series. Excuse me. Yeah. And pretty much basically the final episode ends with them hopping on the train, going off into the movie, which is supposed to come out next year. I hear that apparently it's released in not this month. I think it's April, possibly. I think so. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Come sometime this year. They don't say when. They. It's kind of odd the fact they do, but they do. Yeah, they announced it's gonna come out sometime next year. I initially thought it was April, but no, it is not. Odd the fact they're doing that, but yeah. And here's something quite interesting though. Thanks to this anime, the sales apparently for Demon Slayer manga they skyrocketed. Yeah, because people love the anime, so why not check out the manga? I of course do the thing of read the manga first and then see the anime. I initially read the manga up to chapter 52, and then all of a sudden when I was watching 52, like I finished the thing and I went back to the manga. I was like, hey, I just saw this stuff in the anime. So apparently the anime went to chapter 54. So it did not stop 52, went straight to 54. Am I talking about it? No, I'm not. The Infinite Train arc I'll probably talk about whenever the film comes out next year. Hopefully it does. Apparently also that's when the sequel films come out for Salem Crystal, which apparently was supposed to come out this year, but never did. Yeah. Last I heard the film's on Greenland and it's gonna be adapted at the very next arc and should be interesting. Though the next arc itself, the Infinity Train arc, with the Demon Train arc, this is roughly 14 chapters, which for a 2-hour movie, that's pretty simple to do. Mm-hmm. Not much to say about this particular of the arc. It's basically more. I mean, if you look at the arc as a whole, it's just dealing with the aftermath of the previous arc, and something been building since the start of the series. Basically, the higher I was basically finding about the stuff and set up for the movie. That's what you can say about this particular arc. And plus, recovery, though it does take 1 episode this time, takes about 3 episodes this time, which is fine. Mm-hmm. Final thoughts on season 1. Overall, this season is actually really, really good. Um, I never encountered a really big problem with the series, and the only slight problem I did have is the fact that, well, the fact that I had to switch from dub to sub, and apparently the dub was taking so long to come out. Apparently between episodes, now 8, which was released just yesterday, and apparently it take 2 weeks to release this damn thing. I have no idea why. Yeah, but as of right now for this particular series, um, I'm not exactly done with it yet. I mean, there's still a film coming out, but hopefully that film was success enough to adapt the rest of the series. Mm-hmm. Now, based on how long these next are, so for Demon Train is Red Light District is roughly 20 years, so this could take up because the fact it's just usually about depths. And here's something quite interesting. I was looking at how many each episode has. The first episode just the first chapter, and if episode 2 through 11, it's all like 2 chapters apiece. And then they started to adapt more chapters. Like for 12, it's like 3 chapters. For 13, it's like a chapter and it's like a chapter and a half. 14 is the same thing. It's back to 2 chapters for 15. 16 is 1/2 chapters. 17 is pretty much the same thing. And then for 18 and 19, it's 3 chapters apiece. And then 2021, 2 chapters. For 22, it's basically 2 1/4 chapters. And then from 34 to about 37, 30, from 23 to 37, basically kind of does what One Piece does. Just have like bits and pieces of a chapter. Like 23 adapts chapter 47, basically pages 11 through 19, and 48, the first 70 pages. Next episode adapts the last 2 pages of 48, and adapts the first. Well, go straight to 50, 49, adapts the entirety of that, and adapts the first 13 pages of chapter 50. 25 adapts pages 14 and 21 of chapter 50, the first 11 pages 51, the first 4 pages for 53, and the extra that was basically the backstory of the character Ao. 26 finishes at 51 and 53, starts at 54, but it does adapt the entire chapter. That's basically as far as it got with it. So you can kind of say the series pretty much went through the first 53 chapters and started chapter 54. Yeah, went through the first 4 pages, and that's basically it. Adaptation. Excuse me. Adaptation wise, I think the series did a fantastic job adapting the manga. From what I remember from the manga, it didn't seem like they changed much of anything. No, they didn't. It's basically kind of add something for a little later. Maybe because it took place at the start of the arc, they kind of intersplice it in. That's probably what they did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, not much else to say about Demon Slayer. So the next time probably see a review for Demon Slayer, probably review New Set the manga whenever I get a chance to cover the manga. When I review the manga, well, the arcs I haven't after this one, no, I have no plans to do it. I'm just gonna read it, and I'll just basically review whatever new chapter comes out for the series. That's simple gist of it. Yep. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. And I might have time to do another review today. Well, I'm gonna do another review next, and it'll be reviewed the newest chapter of Blue Exorcist. Okay, see you next view. Bye.